Ba-da-ba-ba-ba, I'm loving it. As bad as Celtic were today, at least we have a manager. And at least we have a manager that wants to be with us. I think that's all we should say. That was the team for today. Brendan Rodgers has admitted that he made some team selections. We'll just sort that. Let's jump into the comments tonight. See who's on. Good evening, Stephen Johnson and Jack. How are you this evening? So there's lots to talk about when it comes to Celtic because at least we have a manager. Thomas comes right in. I think Rodgers has chucked it. Well, not from what I'm hearing tonight. I spoke to guys that were at the game. Now, there were some ugly scenes at the end of the game today. Fans not impressed with the ball throwing onto the pitch. It was getting a bit toxic, one person said to me. It's getting rather toxic between the fans, and that's not what we really need at Celtic just now. But Brendan Rodgers obviously spoke to the media. Brendan Rodgers has given a free pass to Dundee. 37 years since Dundee beat Celtic at home, making history. Brendan Rodgers does like to make history. It's not something that he would like to keep in his locker, I would say, but it's not since 1985, since Aberdeen, and I was right when I said Aberdeen was the last club outside Celtic and Rangers to win the Scottish League. Can Hearts do it? Well, who really cares, Celtic fans were saying. One bit of news that's come out tonight, and I don't know how you feel about this. Angus Gunn, it's been suggested as the long-term keeper for Kasper Schmeichel. Angus Gunn to Celtic, the Scotland goalkeeper. Tell me how you feel about that. He's out of the picture at Nottingham Forest. He's fucking garbage, that's why. Angus Gunn is a target for Celtic to replace Kasper Schmeichel next summer, according to former Scotland international Kevin Gallagher. The 20-year-old left Norwich City as a free agent last summer, and he went to Nottingham Forest, but he's yet to make a single appearance for Nottingham Forest. Surprise, surprise. Despite remaining Steve Clarke's number one choice for the goalkeeper, I mean, would you want... There's the poll question. Sinisalo's way better, in my opinion. Way better. And let's do that as a quick poll, because there's quite a few to get through tonight. And we can all laugh at them. There is big breaking news tonight coming out of Glasgow, and it isn't Celtic related. It is Rangers related. They're Chris Sutton. Chris Sutton blaming rank rotten recruitment on today's game. Says Rangers Spurs. Well, Rangers Spurs need to think about what Chris Sutton has just said about the Rangers, because Chris Sutton has said, why are so many talented coaches turning down Rangers? Breaking news that Kevin Muscat will not become the new Rangers head coach. After having talks with the club and saying, wait a minute, I'll come in November. And then changed his mind and said, nah, do you know what? I've spoken to Ange, a tin pot club. Gunn is just to fill the Scottish quota for the Europa League. Surely we could have a better keeper than Angus Gunn. Go for Muscat, he'll be free soon. Maybe, do you know what? That's maybe not a bad shout. I wonder, Brendan Rodgers isn't leaving. Brendan Rodgers won't be leaving. Brendan Rodgers has spoke to the media today. He's not in any rush to go anywhere. Celtic are already making preparations for the next window. Dermot Desmond's stance on Celtic board changes revealed as escalating fan protests following the token gesture. Celtic fans made their feelings clear once again in the opening seconds of the 2-0 defeat today. Defiant majority shareholder doesn't make any changes to the Celtic hierarchy amid rising anger It says, according to Hugh Keevins, who reckons that a meeting between the Celtic Fans Collective, Michael Nicholson alongside Chris Mackay, was a token gesture. Hugh Keevins talking about it. That's just nullified the story. That's just nullified the story. Hugh Keevins. That, as soon as it said Hugh Keevins, that was it. I stopped reading. Yeah. Hugh Keevins believes that Dermot Desmond will not be pushed into any changes despite the unrest. It is not up to just the one board member. It's not up to the majority owner to make changes at that level. That is something that goes through. It's going to be interesting because it's what the board want, but it's what the fans want. I know. And how do you feel today about the protest? There was a lot of people online saying the protest was stupid. There was a lot of fans at the game who were not happy with the Green Brigade and the boys. It got very, very tetchy at the end of the game on the way out, was the messages that I got. And one message was, it's getting toxic with the fans. Do you think it's getting toxic with the Celtic fans? I don't know if the big podcasters that are out there backing the Celtic Collective vocally and running the meetings, I don't know what they've said about the ball situation, but I mean, that's a talk for another day. The AGM will be announced, I think, next week. The AGM will get announced next week. It's usually in November, but they have to announce it a month before. It's usually announced around about the 22nd to 23rd of October. That gets publicised then, because you have to give a month's notice as far as these type of things are concerned. So it'll be an interesting to see what happens with that. Paul Baird says, I wouldn't change my mind anytime soon. About what? I need to go into the comments. I thought the protests were supposed to be done as a way not to harm. Yeah, Mike Powers. This is what I thought. Where is Mike? Because you got a lot of fans on the channel from abroad. I thought the protests were supposed to be done in a way as not to harm the team and players. Well, the message that I got from someone who has quite a big interest within the Celtic, and he said that it's getting toxic with the fans, and that if that's the way that the protest wants to go, it's going to split the fans. It's going to just split the fans, and it's seemingly it's spilled over. Like I said, I got told that it spilled over drastically after the game today. So it's not what you want to see happening. I mean, we're not that mob. When you see the kind of things that go on at Ibrox, we are not them. Do you know? If we're going to do things, I think it should be done in the correct manner. The poll's got 114 votes already. Would you like to take Angus Gunn to Celtic? Why is the screen off the thingy done that way? Weird. 73% are saying no. 27% are saying yes. I don't think that Angus Gunn would be a Brendan Rodgers signing, but then again, Brendan Rodgers isn't going to be here. It's a disjointed team. That was another thing that was said from people that were at the game today. The players are shitting themselves from a backlash from the fans. The players are shitting themselves from a reaction from the fans. They're scared. And I think that the balls thrown onto the pitch today emphasised that. Kasper Schmeichel turning around and pleading with the fans. You know, just don't do it. Please don't do it. It will split the fans. We need a big win against Hearts. I don't think we needed a big win today. We needed a big win today, and we didn't get one. We missed Jota big time. Yeah, that kind of protest is pointless. Just the same as we got today, pointless. Is there plans for the AGM? I think that there is plans for AGMs to get things on the agenda. But other than that, I'm going to keep my own personal thoughts to myself with regards to the collective now, because I think that I have warned that it could be divisive. And I don't like saying I'm right, but I do like saying I'm right sometimes, the missus says. So I want us to be as united as a support. And it doesn't help when you've got a podcaster going, I'm getting all sorts of shit online, but I've got my CCTV. All right, Mr. Ex-Copper, that's fine. Do you know? Anyway, Green Brigade think it's a bad idea now. They wouldn't have survived the 90s. And you've seen it's all winning trebles has got to fans' heads. Yeah. Not toxic with the fans. Green Brigade think they own the club. See, it is toxic for fans then, because it's starting to be an issue. It's starting to be the people thinking that the Green Brigade are above themselves, and that's not a good position for the club, the fan base, to be in, because that ultimately makes it toxic. And I think that that's what the people that were speaking to me today, that were on the WhatsApp group chat, I think that, I mean, they're at the games, they're coming out of games. I can only go on their word, and I trust their words. So it is getting slightly toxic with the fans. But did the collective? There's two questions that comes out of today. Did the collective know about the protest today? And if they did, it's fine keeping it quiet as you do these things, so you don't get police searches and all the rest of it. But if the collective knew about the protest today, is that the answer? Is that the way forward? Because putting out statements saying that we don't want to harm the team, we want to back the team, you know, not another penny in Celtic, we're going to hurt the board that way, and then coming out and harming the team, it's then putting... do you know what it does, right? People that go on buses, let the bus convener make decisions on pretty much the behalf of the bus, and the bus convener's got to carry the can for it. So as a collective, the bus convener would go, you'll want to join the Celtic collective, you'll want to back this and getting rid of the board and protesting. Majority says yes, right? A lot of them say yes on the bus. Bus conveners then all put their names forwards. Yeah, we're backing it. This is how you get to the 420 signatories. You then get to a position where you're at the game, and you've got a lot of people that are on buses that don't like the Green Brigade. Let's not kid ourselves on. They've got a lot of people who go to games on buses that are like, well, the Green Brigade are not Celtic. And then you have something happen like today, and then that puts a wedge between the Celtic collective and these people that put their name to it, because they're then going, well, wait a minute, I thought we had agreed this, and then this goes and happens. Are they just going to go off on their own? Well, it's not a collective then, it's the Green Brigade and boys thing. And I don't want to get involved in that type of thing. I think we need to stick to the football, and today the football was absolutely rank rotten. But Brendan Rodgers has said, let me just get rid of that comment. Kenyatta tying it. Yeah, I've had arguments with other Celtic fans who sit in their arse and do nothing against this board. That's not. If you want to get rid of the board, having arguments with fans isn't the way forward. And in my youngest days, that would have been me. My youngest days, I'd have been all for standing outside Parkhead and protesting every single fucking day. Sorry for the language on a Sunday night. I think that the throwing balls action, I'd have been right up for that. Stopping the team, stopping the play, fucking anything to get your point across. And making the board feel as uneasy as possible. But I thought they were trying to run it like a political campaign. Yes, he has rejected Rangers. The big news of tonight, let's get away from Celtics. Breaking news, Kevin Muscat will not become the new head coach of Rangers, despite talks reaching an advanced stage. Chris Sutton then came out and said, why are talented coaches turning down Rangers? Let's just put a picture of that up, because we need a bit of fucking laugh after today. And I make no apologies of putting their... They're just here for our laugh. The Rangers Football Club are just here to make us feel better. That's the only way that you could put it. They are only here. They have only one thing in life. and that's to make Celtic fans feel better, because we are woeful just now. We are terrible. Let's put it down there so we can get those bastard board members in. We are bad, but at least we have a manager that wants to be with us. Can the same be said about players? Muscat is waiting on the Celtic job. Wouldn't that be funny as anything? Brendan Rodgers leaves in the summer. And Kevin Muscat walks into the job after being given the nod by Ange. But yeah, I mean, we're in a bad place, but it's all the fault of really bad recruiting. Really bad recruiting. Rangers have a big support and a big stadium, no more. Like, I'm not wanting to make it all about them, but the thing is Brendan Rodgers, and listen, it's not just Brendan Rodgers. We need to put this into perspective. The women's Celtic head coach, Elena, has lacked the lack of investment after they got beat today. Elena Saduka has lamented the lack of investment in her side after they lost 2-1. It's not just the first team that's doing it. So what's going on at Celtic? You know, we spent 20 million. We spent 20 million on a facility to improve the women's team, to improve the B team, to improve the flow of players coming in. But the signing policy for the B team is non-existent. We've allowed young players to leave the club that aren't good enough. The B team coach is Stephen McManus. Do you know that great Celtic player, Stephen McManus? When you look at the women's team, they've been talking about the fact that they've not had the investment that they've required to get better. And then Brendan Rodgers is talking about the lack of Baz. I go points behind when. What then? Serious question. No one Muscat. He's seen a fortune teller. Are we really concerned in October? I mean, the league doesn't lie. Do you know, they are a few points ahead of us in the league. We're not going to lie. It is what it is. But it isn't just one bad game though, is it? It's not one bad game. People will say, look, Brendan Rodgers' football's been absolutely garbage for months. This goes way back to last season. We all got to the summer thinking we need, and we do this every summer. You know, we never expected to sell Kuhn. No Celtic fan expected Kuhn to be sold in that window. He had one good season. Nico Kuhn had one good season. People could say that Daisen Maeda has had one good season. Matt O'Reilly had one good season. Kyogo Furuhashi, maybe 2 or 3 at a push. 2 or 3 good seasons. Not wanting Muscat. Can Hearts be good? Their run be good for Scottish football? Of course it can. It makes it better. It makes it a bit more exciting. Long may it continue. Pretty sure someone did say in July Kuhn is definitely away. If it was that man Lanky, he said a lot of things in July. Not a lot of them came true, mate. Let's jump back into some more of the news because there is a lot breaking tonight. Chris Sutton said it was idiotic of the fans. This is the same Chris Sutton, by the way, who thinks nothing to join in a Celtic state of mind on a weekly basis and fucking taking money for the fans. Chris Sutton needs to watch the route that he's going. And, do you know, calling fans idiotic, whilst at the same time every weekend taking the cash of the fans, fleecing these pockets with cash with his Celtic State of Mind nights at Celtic supporters clubs. It does my head on that. No ex-player, and especially one that fleeces, that does so many fans events, should be slating the fans ever. In my opinion, we've lost the league. Not a chance. You cannot say that we've lost the league. Look at the league table. Hearts are on 20. Hearts have not hit a sticky patch yet. Let's look at Hearts, right? They've played 8 games. They've won 7. They've drawn 1. They've scored 19 goals this season. Hurrah. Right? They're on a good run. They've had 6 goals scored against. Right? They're on a goal difference of plus 13. Do you really believe that Hearts, they've not got European football? So let's look at all the positives, right? They've not got European football. They can have a good run. They can have a week off pretty much every week up until January or whenever, until European football stops for the clubs that are in Europe. Once we get to that end of that bit of the season, do Hearts have the players, the mentality to go the full distance? That's a serious question. Every team goes through bad patches. Some teams go through terrible patches. I mean, Aberdeen's been going through a bad patch for, about a season. I mean, Aberdeen were flying, doing the exact same as Celtic, matching them point for point, right up until Christmas. And then they fell away. And look what's happened to them. They've fallen away. Hearts have now got a manager who, when he was at Aberdeen, consistently tried to get up there and push Celtic, consistently got to cup finals. He's got all the right attributes, but he could never just get there. And that's maybe playing at the back of his mind. Yeah, we can give it a good go. McInnes isn't daft. McInnes will go, look, when it gets to the next window, Celtic will spend. Celtic will spend money, and they'll spend money that we don't have at the moment. Would you take Ange back right now? No. How's Ange going to get any better out of these players with playing the same 4-3-3 formation? Ange plays 4-3-3. Someone tell me in the comments how Ange will get this Celtic team playing a better 4-3-3. Because they won't. The low block, Ange's football, the low block was coming in at the end of Ange's last 6 months at Celtic. It then got worse when Brendan Rodgers come back. And teams know that's the way to play against Celtic. Celtic struggle. Brendan Rodgers said it today. I've said for weeks, what are Celtic doing in the training ground? Why aren't they getting the B team and just go, right, sit in the box and we've got to figure out way past. We've got to figure out. The coaches have got to figure out way. Never mind this passing the ball back. Rio Hitati today, rather than go forward, turns around and passes it back to Cameron Carter-Vickers. If that's the coaching side of it that's doing that, if this is the way that we're coaching the players, then it's all wrong. It's the coaching that's the issue. And whilst Brendan Rodgers is the figurehead of the coaches, it's the majority of the coaches that, I mean, let's see what Gavin Strachan's doing. I'll tell you one thing, his dad's doing a better job at Dundee than he's doing at Celtic, as whatever he's doing. Ange is a spent force. Ange would play attacking football. Paul, serious question, Paul. How would Ange get the same 4-3-3 formation to break down the low block? It's a serious question. Do you know what? It came into effect when he was here. It came to fruition even more when he was here. So how would Ange get through the low block? Ange's team never really had to go through a low block. If you look at the wingers, boom, teams were on the attack. How many of Ange's games in his first 2.5 seasons were teams sitting back in a low block? They weren't. So thinking that Ange can come in and change everything, Ange is going to go, I'm not going back to Celtic. Have you seen the way that the fucking league's getting played? Do you know? To say that Ange would play attacking football is basically saying that Brendan isn't playing attacking football when he's trying to, but he admitted today that the low block is the issue. We need to train and tactically become more aware on how to get past the low block. Ange has got one style to play. 4-3-3. Do you know? If James Forrest is our first substitute, then we're in trouble. No offence, James, lovely guy, but should not be the first to come off the bench. I've said this for a long time. We're relying on James Forrest, and it's, you know, if Ange came back, it would be the only time in his career he's returned to the same club. Yeah, Ange come out and said publicly when he was at Spurs, he would never go back to Celtic. He doesn't go back to clubs. We could have David Beckham slinging in balls, but number one is at the end. True. Coutson. Ange wouldn't have us passing backwards. Patrick, but if you would have to pass side to side. This is the problem that Brendan's got. He doesn't want us passing side to side, but he doesn't know how to get through the low block. He said it today in an interview. He's like, we need to work out how to get through this low block. Fucking walking football at some points today. Yeah, it was. The low block isn't an issue. The fact that Brendan's had 3 pre-seasons, hasn't himself got one more than... Yeah, Brown Warrior, I'm with that. But Ange has got one system. I don't think it would work. Don't know. I don't think it would work. Anyway, Ange is fucking going on a big holiday. He's just made £7 million in about 3 months. Ange isn't coming to Celtic. He's just went like that. We're off. We're on holiday. A manager on 30 grand a week. 500 passes slower on my day on a Monday. CCV's done. Yeah, didn't even get me started about CCV. Marco Rose, a new manager, is needed. I mean, there's one thing for sure, as Celtic fans, yeah, I get it, mate. There's a lot of frustration for today. My WhatsApp was going mental with guys coming back for the game. Totally frustrated. There is a lot of frustration, and people are people are putting out polls online. Ange or Brendan. Well, we'll tell you what. Why don't we just bring back fucking Ronnie Dyler? Because that's the way that the club's going. There were buses today. This is how there were buses today. There was messages going between buses. Are you looking for spares? There was loads of buses today that had spare tickets. People not going to the games. People just going, fuck it, I'm not going. People were saying today after there was, I put my WhatsApp on after the game and there was loads of buses offering tickets to other buses. And that's not been heard of since Ronnie Dyler days. Do you know, we're heading back to Ronnie Dyler stuff. Ange will go somewhere in Europe. I don't really care about Ange. He came to Celtic, he done his thing. He went away for the riches, and he's been paid a lot of money over the last 3 seasons. Yeah, I know. Why are we still about Ange? Yeah, I know. We need fresh blood. Definitely. Definitely. Ange is buying a Greek island after his 2 jobs. Well, getting paid $7 million for 3 months' work. I'd be buying a Greek island as well, and that's it. We're retired. Do you know? He's like. But if you watch the interview with Ange, and he said that he reckons that he wasn't fancied in England. He's been a failure as a manager, but he's not. He's been successful everywhere he's went. Well, Ange's loving life just now. Of course he is. Did you see the picture of him after he got sacked? He came out smiling. He's like that. I'm not giving a flying hoot. My bank balances just went poof. Let's get out of the country before they try and tax us on it. That's it. Do you know what I mean? Ange's like that. We've just got $7 million in the bank, love. Let's get, and it's not gone into it's not went into our UK account. Let's get the hell out of here before they try and tax us. The low block only lasts as long as the team using it are not losing. So when you overload the box with crosses, Do we have anyone that could win the ball in the air or anyone who can cross? Says the Irishman in Porto. We got rid of a big target man in Adam Ida. We brought on, and I thought when we brought on Johnny Kenny today, that's a guy that's got a bright future at the club. I just hope that we get the right manager that plays the right system. And I go back to it. I've harked on about it for years now. Celtic should be playing 3-5-2. This nonsense that one up front in modern football is killing Celtic slowly. And the manager putting two up front today, the manager held his hands up and said, look, I have to take responsibility today. Brendan Rodgers said to the media that he has to take up... That's a bit loud. Aye. Brendan Rodgers did say to the media, look, it's on me. Admit his selection mistake. Yang should never have been on the park. Yang's like a missing shirt. To give Yang another chance. How many chances does Yang need to prove his worth at Celtic? Because he's shite. And anybody that says that he's not shite needs to have a good look at himself. Yang struggled to find form, it says. But yeah. We got Yang coming on inside. It's an area we know that we're suffering in. He's coming on to try and make an impact. It didn't quite work for him. That one's on me. It hasn't worked for Yang since he came to Celtic. Whoever is in the recruitment team, picking out Yang, picking out Michelangelo Bilwisha, picking out Tenekti. Tenekti got pushed over today too easily. They're too lightweight. Do you know, they're far too lightweight to be at Celtic. Martin O'Neill's team had upper body strength. Brendan Rodgers put on James Forrest today because James Forrest isn't going to get pushed over. And there's too many of these players that lack physicality. Something that Brendan Rodgers has been going on about for a long time, the physicality. They need the physicality. And Brendan Rodgers, his team, it's very funny how Brendan Rodgers' team is the team that lacks physicality. And there's been 231 votes talking about Angus Gunn, because there's news coming out tonight that Angus Gunn could be on the Celtic radar for the replacement for Kasper Schmeichel. How can you go from Joe Hart to Kasper Schmeichel to Angus Gunn? Surely Sinisalo's bound to be going, fucking hell, seriously. Got to take into consideration the weather was not great today. Fucking weather's nothing to do with professional football. That was just shite. There's a gym at the training ground. Yeah, I know there's and that's what's embarrassing. There is a gym at the training ground. Sign physical players then, Brendan. There's a gym at the training ground. There's no player that I've seen in the last 2 seasons that you've noticed a considerable upper body strength improvement on. Brendan Rodgers seems to be he's a man that used to focus on going to the gym. Brendan Rodgers is carrying a few extra pounds. No Gun, give Sinisalo a go. Yep. Brendan Rodgers' team and football is fucking awful. The guy should be sacked tonight. He shouldn't be sacked tonight. Come on, Graham. We're not in the position that other teams are in that sack managers. And we're not likely to sack a manager after one defeat. It's only one defeat of the season. Celtic normally win. Yeah, Luke McCowan, but he's only been at Celtic. Has his upper body strength improved that much? Has his physicality improved? Maybe a bit. Brendan will never bench Schmeichel. I don't think Schmeichel was the issue today for once. I don't think that Schmeichel was one of the bigger issues today. I'm usually the first to point out Schmeichel if he is, but I don't think he was. I think Schmeichel made a couple of good saves. Do you know, that kept us in the game? It's got to be said. Does the training ground have... he should have been sacked months ago, said Paul Baird. McCowan is pish. Never be a starter. That was dire today, but 20 odd games to go. Yeah, there is. I mean, there's plenty of time to. There's lots of football to be played. Lots of football. And Brendan Rodgers, only Brendan Rodgers will know why he played Yang today. Listen, Yang shouldn't be at Celtic. We've become entitled. The way it's went when we will win by today. We will win Baz. No, it's not figs, it's olives. I tend to eat olives at this time of night. I'm raging. The price of figs, considering the amount we used to have in our house, in our garden, and they would fall to the ground. The fucking price of them. Should have been selling them. Just back from Greece. Watch the highlights of the game. We are pathetic. Well, at least we have a manager. Let's look at the positive side. At least we have a manager that wants to be with us at Celtic. I'm just going to end the poll for the news that will be all over the papers tomorrow that Angus Gunn is on the radar of Celtic. 69% of Celtic fans say no to Angus Gunn on the poll. Only 250 votes. Only 250 votes. I think there could be a bit more than 250 votes, considering there's been over 1,200 folk online. But anyway, what happened to Maeda? He's not fit. Apparently it's a hamstring. Why don't you do a poll, mate? Rodgers in or out? It's 300. Okay, we'll do that. I'm not going to just go in or out. You know what I'm like. I'll put a twist on it, because I don't think that Brendan Rodgers should be sacked after losing only one game in the league. So, Brendan Rodgers till the end of the season, yes or no? Do you want Brendan Rodgers here until the end of the season, yes or no? Serious question. Straight in. Woof, 20, 30 votes straight in. I mean, there's 300 odd people online. This will be an interesting one. Because I think I'm going for a doner kebab. Oh, I miss a good kebab. I do miss a good kebab. The thing is, they have them over here. And they don't have, it's not like a late night. Kebab's totally different here. It's if Rodgers stays, well, we'll lose the league. No, we won't, chill pill. No, we won't. Definitely not. Definitely not. So no, for me, I want him sacked. I only said no because I don't want him picking up his paycheck early. Well, it's a bit like an independence vote, 56-44. Get him out now, says Paul Beard. Get him out now. Sunstone Sheep says, team needs to gel, no chemistry there. Rodgers has a big job getting them to play as a team. Would a change of manager do that? Only yes, because we need to find a manager quickly as mental. It's not easy to find a manager. Sack him now, says Big Rab. He's got until January, I reckon. I think that he's got... Listen, Brendan Rodgers, the tide will turn on Brendan Rodgers if we get beat by Hearts next week, which is looking likely. If we get beat by Hearts next week, if we get beat this week, this is how crazy this is going to sound. If we get beat by Sturm Graz at Celtic Park, fans will turn on Rodgers. If we get beat by Hearts next week, we only have 650 fans at Hearts. Brendan Rodgers will be let off lightly, but the meltdown online will be of Sevconian proportions. If we then get to the semi-final, and I think that there's a possibility, if they bring in a manager just before, but they're struggling to get a manager. They're getting they're getting more not. Do you remember those of us that are old enough? Can you remember the last dance at the nightclub? When you used to go to the disco back in the day, and you got the last dance. The last dance would come on. and all the geezers are all standing about, and the ones that hadn't pulled are waiting for the last dance to come on to see who's available. That's Rangers. All the guys that were used to stand about that didn't have birds were waiting out, and then the lights come on and it's the big fat ugly ones that's left, and you're like, oh, fucking hell, oh man, I can't dance with her. No, I'm not taking her home, because you used to go to the last dance and then you would get the last dance. You get the last dance and then that was it. Coming up the road. But anyway, yeah, Knockback Central. Big Ange needs sounded. No, he doesn't. Big Ange will not come back. Big Ange has said publicly he will not go back to. He's never went back to a club. I want Rodgers to stay so we don't get stuck with Ange again. Well said, Simon Island. The votes are coming in thick and fast. 106 votes, and it's 58% yes, 42% said no. So we need to start scoring. Listen, you can't get rid of 75 goals of players. I mean, folk were slating me because I said that Adam Idah I think that Adam Idah is better than Kells. Adam Idah was a proven goal scorer. He scored 29 goals over 18 months. 29 goals over 18 months. We're struggling for goals. Kyogo Furuhashi down tools. Do you know what I mean? Graham Potter. I'd laugh if Muscat came to us. You've just got that feeling. You know these things happen in football. And you've just got that feeling. Maybe Ange just spoke to him and went, mate, just hang off, you'll get the Celtic job. Trust me. Do you know? Fuck Ange, says Mick. I'd rather sit in my hands and clap than have McInnes at the helm. Well, who wants McInnes? McInnes isn't going to come to Celtic. Muscat coming here would be funny as fuck with him being Ange's assistant years. By the way, if you're going to put money on the next manager, if you're a betting man, I would actually stick money on Muscat becoming the next Celtic manager. Because think about it, the timeline could be right. He said that he wasn't going to leave his club until the end of November. Do you know, maybe the Celtic board have sounded out Ange. Now here's a situation that could play out. Maybe Celtic did go to Ange and said, look, we're looking for a new manager. Brendan's not going to be here at the end of the season. If it goes the wrong way, Brendan might be relieved around about Christmas time. If it doesn't go the right way, he might be relieved of his duties with half a season to go. Celtic might make the change. Is there anybody out there that we... Is there anybody out there, Ange, that you think is a good up-and-coming manager? That's kind of the same cloth as you? Yeah, Kevin Muscat. Muscat gets the call for Rangers. Yeah, I might take the job. And then speaks to them and said, Nah, I'm not going to do it. And director of football, Muscat as manager, that's a team and a half. It's not going to happen. I would rather have, I've said it before, I would rather have Martin O'Neill in. Martin O'Neill. I'm missing some of the comments. Where's Hank? I've missed his comment. How do we do that so early, Baz? I want to do it. That would make my year. It would be funny, wouldn't it? We'll win a treble. Hearts are a couple of injuries from a crumble. Yeah. But they've got until Christmas to sort of have their little... Get Muscat's picked off the screen. That is breaking news. Look, it's breaking news. Breaking news, Kevin Muscat will not become the new head coach of Rangers despite talks taking an advanced stage. Chris Sutton says, why are talented coaches turning down Rangers? That's why it's on the screen. Because at least we have a manager that wants to be with us. Talented managers are turning them down. And I think it would be a hilarious situation if he came in November, December. If he finishes up with his team in November, right? These things can get spoken about beforehand. Ange said it. He said the thing with Celtic was kind of spoken about. It was in the background, but it was never. There was nothing concrete. So he went and got an interview with another club, and he was almost going to go to Greece or whatever, and then that fell through because Celtic had been chasing the manager for 6 or 7 months, and then Ange gets the call. If Celtic are in a situation where they know that Brendan Rodgers is not going to be here, and Brendan Rodgers is already saying, look, we're looking at the next transfer window already. Maybe Brendan and the board have come to an agreement. Look, if it's going to be your last season, we need to have a plan in place. We need to bring in a certain type of player for the positions so that the next manager has a half decent team. Brendan Rodgers. The Huns are getting all a Shakhtar. Kevin Muscat never going to Sevco. It was all utter pish from Rangers media and the Scottish media. It's going to be Ferguson, isn't it? It'd be funny. We bash Ferguson with his brogues. He's a way to get fitted out again. But anyway, the question was, Rodgers till the end of the season we had 138 votes. Channel slowed down slightly. There's been over 1,400 people online. 322 current. There's 322 people online. Come on, get voting. Let's get this up to 200 votes because 60% of 139 people say yes to Brendan Rodgers to the end of the season. And there's 40% are saying no, they don't want Brendan Rodgers to the end of the season. That's a nice little split. It is a nice little split. It's interesting. If we get up to 150, I'm not staying on too much longer because Celtic defeat to Glasgow City FC. Rodgers option. The Angus Gunn one. I mean, will that be on the back page of the Daily Record tomorrow, or will that have been knocked off the back page because Rangers have been knocked back once again? I think there's more chance it being Lambert wouldn't come to us. Dumb and dumber at Rangers. Lambert's not going to come. Lambert's not going to come to Celtic. Not a chance. Amity's nearly 60, and when Celtic get beat, nothing gets done. No sports scene, no papers, nothing made until Wednesday. How do you think my life is? Stephen, I used to be like that. Do you know what I mean? But in modern media, you can have a more adult conversation about things, and I think it's good to come on straight after games and get the immediate reaction of people after games. But it's sometimes better to come on later in the night when you've had a little, think about the situation, and the overall situation is that we're in a bad place. Yes. But look at the injuries. Daizen Maeda injured. If he was gone, we would have another winger. Jota injured. Alistair Johnston injured. That's 3 players that changed the game for Celtic. 3 players that changed the game for Celtic. That's your fast attacking football. Do you know people are saying Rodgers isn't playing fast attacking football? His fast attacking football was sitting pretty much on the injury bench. For me, I'd get rid of Liam Scales and Cameron Carter-Vickers, to be fair, because I don't think that they're doing Celtic any justice whatsoever. I don't think they're doing themselves any justice, and I don't think they're doing Celtic any justice. I think they are players that are journeymen at best. Right, I need 2 more votes, and I'm going to turn that poll off. 71% say Rodgers to the end of the season, which is a bit different to some of the polls online, because a lot of people are saying, do you want Ange over, and I don't think that's a fair poll to have, because I mean, I would like to see Billy McNeil back at Celtic, because I thought he was a fantastic manager for Celtic, but then unfortunately he's passed away, so we can't. I'd love to see Martin O'Neill back in the coaching. I think Martin O'Neill would get a lot more out of these team than other players, than other managers. Presley looks like a hobo. He's always looked like a hobo. He looked like a hobo when he was at Celtic. He looked like a hobo when he was at Celtic. He was a player that should never have been at Celtic, just purely on the way that he looked. Anyway, totally agree, Baz, too slow going forward. And we are too slow going forward. And I don't think that it's anything that the manager is coaching into the team. I think that it is because if you look at those players that want to play fast for the back, Alistair Johnston, how many crosses did Alistair Johnston get on the... How many assists did Alistair Johnston have? Daiz Maeda, how many assists did he have? He gets the ball in, do you know? Jota. Do you know? It's... Next Sunday's game, we cannot lose. CCV and Liam Scales were poor today. They were rank rotten. Anyway, Elvis is a good guy. Yeah, he is a good guy, but Presley hasn't looked great since his last dirty season. Right, that's me done for this evening. It's been an interesting chat. There's a lot of information going around about Celtic. Some good, some bad, but at least we have a manager that wants to be with us. The big news tonight is Chris Sutton said. He said, why are talented coaches turning down Rangers? Breaking news tonight is in Scottish football, as far as the big media will be concerned, the mainstream media, is Kevin Muscat will not be becoming the new Rangers coach, despite talks reaching an advanced stage. And he had a personal chat with someone at Rangers. Who could be putting him off? And why are they all knocking him back? Anyway, on that note, have an absolutely fantastic evening, Celtic fans, wherever you are. We'll soon be losing... No, we're not. Anyway, see you later.